Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer. Today on our 2020 Ford Ranger, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Demco towed vehicle battery charge wire kit. So the main reason I always recommend using a charge wire kit is so your battery's not drained down whenever you get to your destination. And that happens because 9 times out of 10, the vehicle braking system that you're using actually draws power from your vehicle's battery to operate. So every time you apply the brakes and that braking system activates, it's going to take a little bit of juice from your battery. So let's say if you don't stop every now and again and start up your car, let that battery charge up, or if you're on a multiple day trip, leave everything hooked up, and you get to your destination, unhook your vehicle, sometimes your battery can be drained, be dead. And then you got to go through the trouble of charging it up, getting a jump box, maybe find someone to jump start you. And that's a big headache. No one wants to deal with that when you're trying to enjoy yourself. And by using a charge line, it's going to eliminate that. And that's because whenever you're flat towing, your motorhome is more or less going to maintain or trickle charge your vehicle's battery whenever you're going down the road. That way, once you get to your spot, you can unhook and have the confidence knowing that your vehicle will start right up. So the way this kit is going to work is it's going to use your motorhome's 12-volt auxiliary power here at the back of it on the 7-way. Now, you will have to have a 12-volt power supply for everything to work properly. Pretty much any time I've seen a motorhome with a 7-way on it, it's more than likely going to have that power supply, that 12-volt auxiliary power. Just something I wanted to mention. But whenever you start the motorhome, get going down the road, it's going to send power out from that 7-way through your tow bar wiring and into your connector plug here at the front of your vehicle. And that's where our charge wire is actually hooked up. So that power is going to go through the plug, through our charge wire, and run up to the positive battery post where it's going to charge everything up. So the kit is designed to charge up your towed vehicle's battery whenever your motorhome is running and you're connected to it. So you're not going to have to worry about it affecting your motorhome's batteries. It's not going to drain those batteries down or anything like that. And that's because it's going to receive that power it needs from your motorhome's charging system. That way when it's running, your alternator's working, charging not only the motorhome batteries, but sending that power back here too to maintain your towed vehicle's battery. Now I do want to mention, the kit isn't going to bring a dead battery back to life. Or if you have a battery with a bad cell or on its way out, something like that, it's not going to refurbish that battery. So the kit is designed to maintain batteries that are in good working condition. So there's going to be 5 main components that you're going to need to flat tow your Ranger down the road safely. First one's going to be your base plate. And that base plate's going to provide us with a solid and reliable connection point. That way we can hook up our tow bar. A tow bar is going to be that second component. And this is going to be that physical link that connects the front of your Ranger to the back of your motorhome. The third main component is going to be safety cables. And those are there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. These are going to keep everything connected to each other. The fourth main component is going to be tow bar wiring. And the wiring is going to transfer the lighting signals from the back of your motorhome to the back of your Ranger. That way it'll keep you safe and legal. And last but not least is a braking system. And what the braking system is going to do is apply the brakes in your Ranger whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome, and that's going to help bring you to a more predictable stop. And there is just a couple more things I would suggest using in conjunction with those 5 main components just to make your overall experience that much better. One of them is what's called a brake light relay. And I recommend that because with these Rangers, let's say if you have on your turn signal and you hit the brakes at the same time, with the Rangers, what's going to happen is the turn signal flashing on the back of your truck is going to be overridden by the motorhome's brake signal. So people aren't going to know kind of what's going on. They're going to see the brake lights on the Ranger and potentially your turn signal on the motorhome, and things kind of just can get confusing that way. There is one thing that I do want to mention, and that is the use of a high-low adapter. And in our case, we actually don't need it, but still something I figured I'd bring up. And the use of a high-low adapter, what that's going to do is make sure that your tow bar is riding nice and level. And so to figure out if you would need that, you want the measurement here from the center of your hitch or your pinhole on your base plate to the ground to be within 3 inches of the measurement here on your motorhome hitch from the pinhole down to the ground. In our case, on our base plate, that's going to measure about 15.5 inches. That's kind of just a reference. Keep in mind, you know, if your truck has different size tires or lift kit, something like that on it, that measurement could vary. But something that I figured I would throw out. And if you do end up needing a high-low adapter, we have multiple different sizes and so on right here at etrailer. So at the end of the day, a charge line kit is almost a must-have for your Ranger whenever you're flat towing it. It's just going to really simplify things. You're not going to have to worry about that dead battery when you get to your destination, and you can fire up your truck and go have some fun. Now, as far as the installation goes, really not too bad, considering you just have one end of a wire to hook up to the plug, pop the other end on the battery, and you're good to go. So really shouldn't give you a whole lot of issues or take you a whole lot of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and pull into the shop and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the hood of our Ranger here, and we're going to need to hook up our ring terminal to the positive battery terminal. First thing you want to do is open up your fuse holder, make sure that that fuse is not installed. We'll put that in once everything is hooked up. So if we open this here, we're going to have a few different power studs that we can choose from. I'm going to use this one right here because there's nothing connected to it and it just looks like the ideal spot. So I'm going to remove that nut using a 10mm. So go ahead and pull this off. Then we can take our ring terminal, slide that over the stud, and simply reinstall the nut. So now that we have that hooked up, we can close up our cover there, and then we can start to route this down to our connector plug at the front of our vehicle. Now when you do this, you want to make sure to avoid any hot or moving parts. And I just brought ours around through here. And it just drops down through an opening right here in this area. So here's where our wire comes down and around through here. I want to point out that in our case we do have the front bumper removed. That's because we're installing this the same time that we did our base plate, which I suggest doing because it gives us all this extra room. But that said, you don't have to have the bumper off to get this installed. Just makes it easier. That wire is going to loop around and come on down to where we have our connector plug loosely installed. So what we're going to need to do is take the rubber boot off of the plug. We're going to take our wire, run it through that connector plug and through our bracket. And the pin that we're going to be hooking this up to is this pin here in the center. And our case, the way our plug works is we will back out that set screw into the wires pre-stripped already. That'll simply just feed into that terminal. Make sure it's in there good. We'll come back and just snug up that set screw. So now that we have the wire hooked up, I will reinstall our cover, and for now I'm just going to loosely install our plug until we get our bumper back on and everything else reinstalled. Now that everything is hooked up, we can come back here to our fuse holder, take the included fuse, and plug that in. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Demco Towed Vehicle Battery Charge Wire Kit on our 2020 Ford Ranger.